we went hungry. But one other thing that was kind of on the humorous side, and you said earlier about how did they treat us on food, we did have what they call a coffee break about 10 o'clock or so, or around about the midday, whereas we just had the one meal a day. But normally they would have a coffee break for us, and it was made out of what they called ersatz coffee, which is nothing more than burnt barley. Barley kernels that had been burned or over roasted, and they'd make the coffee out of that instead of using. I don't think they even had real coffee, because when we started getting the Red Cross parcels, they would confiscate not only the salt and pepper mixture, but anything that was in a can, they would pierce it so it would spoil right away, because they didn't want us building up a supply of food, you see. And good coffee, if we had the powdered coffee, that we'd make, they would take that. But this ersatz coffee we got to the point where, heck, we would just start using it for shaving. So instead of drinking the coffee, we'd shave with it. So we always had our shaving time about 10 o'clock or so. But and as far as money is concerned, there was no money involved. The only money that we ever encountered was new prisoners coming in. And I have a sermon, if you will, that I was given at one of the churches here about 10 years ago. And I brought this out that about keeping busy. And one time I found a button, and then we started getting the Red Cross parcel. There was a little package like you get in a hotel sometime of buttons and thread and needle. I'd saved those, and I'd asked, "Did you lose a button, sir?" And I said, "No, he didn't." And I said, "Well, I'll sew it on for you." Well, I think he had a missing one. Well, it isn't mine. But I said, "Well, okay, I'm going to charge you for it." And I would take those few little coins that these new prisoners came in with, either paper money or coin, and I'd save them, put them in a little chocolate bar box as a souvenir, and it was just another hobby. I started saving money and coins when I was in the prison camp. And then when that kind of terminated, I started cutting hair, and I would take my cigarettes that I received in the Red Cross parcel that we'd get occasionally, then I would take those cigarettes and I'd trade through the barbed wire fence with the guards, and buy scissors and clippers that I've still got after all these years, and I would charge the guys until there was no more. They didn't have anything to charge when we were on the marches out of these big camps. We didn't have nothing. And we didn't get any, just a little bit to eat is all. And so I just did it to keep busy. And like I told you in this sermon, this message that I gave at church one time, if you didn't keep busy, keep your mind in your hands, but you'd go nuts. Because, we were never beaten. One time I was beat up on, but, well, you might say, no, just one time really. We were shoveling coal out of a boxcar into a truck. And when we got back a ways, we had to relay it. We had these big scoop shovels, and we had to relay the chunk of coal as far as we could. And the next guy would shovel it on and finally get it into the truck. Well, either my buddy had learned how to speak German in high school, took a class, or he was of German ancestry and spoke it at home. But he sassed the guard back when the guard was telling, I learned very little to speak, but one of the things that we learned right off, was machen Sie schnell. That means make it faster, go faster, work faster. And the other one was rausmitten. That means get out. When it come time for roll call, they'd holler, rausmitten, and you better get out of the barracks right now. Line up. So, I can't tell how to spell it. You can spell it however you want. But this buddy of mine sassed the guard back when he wanted us to work harder. And we both got the rifle butts. So That was the only time. And then one other time, I must have been feeling awfully brave or something, because I was working alone on a railroad station dock, you know, where they bring all the luggage up, you know, and they have those big carts the big wagons like they'd pile all the luggage on to put on in the train. And I was piling the snow on there to get the railroad station clean. And I'd have to wheel it, pull it down at the end there and dump it off. And the Germans had a peculiar costume that they wore. And they have a regular overcoat like we do. It come down just below your knees, you know, you have an overcoat. And then they have what they call a top coat or a great coat. And it comes down almost to the shoe, like if you're wearing oxygen, just to the shoe tops, just about 4 inches off of the ground. 2 overcoats, one on top of the other. And he was an old guy, probably about like I am now. I just had my 82nd birthday. And so this old guy had his 2 overcoats on, and his rifle slung around his shoulder, and he was going like this, trying to keep warm. So I asked him in the best German that I could if he was cold. And he says, yeah. And so I handed him the shovel. Well, that's something you don't do. If you're a prisoner, you would hardly, wouldn't tell somebody to go and do it yourself. So anyhow.
Okay. So you shoveled coal, you cleaned up. Was there other things that they made you do? Or?
Oh yes. The one time I got paid. We hadn't been a prisoner for very long, and they took us